Hi there, dear mommies. This is Sherry Hayes with MomDelights.com. I'm the mom of 15 and I've been homeschooling for over 30 years. And I love the Lord and I love giving things into your life that will bless you and help you on your way as you walk with Jesus. So if there's something you can find to do, I'm just going to be talking. So if there's something you can find to do while you're listening, just be blessed and go do that. And just listen as we dive into the good life in Jesus. Okay, so I'm going to read and I've been very careful here to think about what I'm going to say. You know, in Peter, 1st or 2nd Peter, it says that when you speak as the oracle of God. And when you minister with the ability of God. So what I've tried to do, and sometimes I'm not as regular on here as I should be, but sometimes God holds me back. He's taking me through a time where he's testing me and teaching me things. Now, I really sense at times that God is using this little space on the net to speak specific things to certain people. Now, I don't only have this channel and this podcast, but I also have a blog. I have actually a website, and it has a blog, and it has all kinds of freebies and stuff. And so I think that he's using this little tiny place. It's not very big. It's just a really tight community here to speak specific things to certain people. Maybe it's not for everybody, but somebody needs to hear this someplace. This time it was something about womanly confidence, and so I began writing and researching all about it, but I wasn't satisfied with my research. You know, I kind of announced that I was going to talk about raising confident women, right? So it was all looking so typical, and I couldn't find anything that fit the message that was stirring in my heart, you know? Actually, I did find some things, but I didn't like them at first. I kind of missed their significance. So I wrote 2 different scripts or 2 different posts on the subject, each from different perspectives. Even while writing, I was hampered. I had interruptions, I had technical difficulties, there was illness, there was all kinds of stuff that happened, right? And then one morning, while I was listening to Graham Cook, somebody I appreciate, the core of this message finally came to me. And to explain, I began this episode with the idea of raising confident, capable women, but I didn't realize the real message would be about women becoming ladies. This can be greatly misunderstood in our age. Somehow our culture associates ladylikeness with snootiness or Karen-like judgment. The impression is that ladies are hypocritical pretenders and with a lot of insecurity. But this is not what is meant by this title. And this is not what I want to emphasize. While it would be easy to write out a trite list of desired behaviors and practices all true ladies should follow and say I'd done my job, like I'd say, oh, all ladies do this and you should do that. And I mean, I'm talking about like, you know, you should always wear your dress below your knee and never wear pants and only walk this way and only speak these things. I mean, those things might all be true, but I don't think that that's the core of being a lady, okay? I didn't think that I would be doing my job if I just gave you a list of that stuff. What is needed is to go deeply into the core of what a lady in the true sense actually is. We can catch glimpses of this in some of the contemporary definitions. Okay, Britannica says a lady is a woman who behaves in a polite way, a woman of high social position, a woman who is a member of nobility. And from other online sources, I found that the lady is the mistress of a household, a lady who has, as a woman who has the rights, rule, or authority of a lord. Interesting. Or a woman of high social position, a woman who is polite, refined, and well-mannered, a woman who has proprietary rights or authority as over a manor, a woman who is refined, polite, and well-spoken, a woman who is the object of chivalrous devotion. And in case you were wondering, I actually looked up the etymology of the word lady, and it says from 1200, the year 1200, leithdi, lavidi, from the English Hlaethdia, Northumbrian Hlaethdia, Mercian is Hlaethdia, mistress of a household or the wife of a lord. Okay, apparently, literally, one who needs bread from chlef, bread, to die, made. Chlef die, see? Which is related to die, maker of dough, which is the first element in dairy. So, I don't know if you're interested. I love etymology, but I don't know if you would be or not. Okay, that's from the online etymology dictionary. I believe we need to take this concept of being a lady quite seriously because the entire world seems to be so confused about the subject of gender and gender roles. Somehow we have lost our way. So going back to this basic concept will help us get back on the road of sanity. Of course, there are pretenders everywhere. Not every biological woman is a lady. Not every homemaker who refuses to wear jeans is a lady. It's not about acting feminine, although many ladies are quite feminine acting. It's not about asserting the goddess within and demanding the world must bow to the superiority of one's female nature. No boss babes need apply. Although a true lady is not a pushover and must be able to lead. Okay, it's not about feeling superior, as Proverbs 11:22 tells us. Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion. At the bare minimum, a lady must be, number one, a woman, as God created them, male and female. Common sense must reign here. Number two, of noble rank. Now, I know it seems as though the idea of being of noble rank no longer applies, but I think it does. Let me explain. If we are truly born again, then we have been recreated and are no longer part of the systems of this world. Jesus said his kingdom was not of this world, with their different levels and ranks. We have a heavenly rank as members of the royal family of heaven. For he has I'm going to read scripture here. Colossians 1:13 says, "For he has rescued us from the dominion of darkness and brought us into the kingdom of his dear son." Of the son he loves, Of his dear son is one translation. Okay. And then in 1 Peter 2:9 we read, "But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, that you may declare the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his wonderful light." So, chosen people, a royal priesthood. There's royalty. Once you become twice born, when you're born by the blood of Jesus, then you are of a royal family. Yeah, interesting. Something to really ponder. We actually operate outposts of the kingdom of heaven wherever we find ourselves. In this sense, as we are actually princesses, we are heirs of the promise, right? And as thus we rightfully hold the rank of lady as our given position. We have authority on heaven and on earth. You know that Jesus gave his disciples that authority, didn't he? And then he passed that on to us through the Holy Spirit. So we are part of the kingdom of heaven on earth. We are ladies. Our husbands, the men, can be lords. Yeah, I know. Jesus is King of Kings and Lord of Lords, right? So there are lords, and God has bestowed royalty on us. So, number 3, a lady is self-forgetful. Now, I'd like to back up on number 2. Number 2 has to do with how ladies and lords were supposed to act. There is an obligation when you carry the honors of rank, of nobility. There is an obligation. It's called noblesse oblige. And I think we'll get into that. We'll kind of explain it as we go along. But nobility doesn't mean that somebody sits and has fed grapes on a lounge chair all day. Nobility, a person who is noble is actually a servant of the people. Okay. Number 3, a lady is self-forgetful. One of the best definitions of a, quote, lady, which I could not find anywhere, but I had read it in a book someplace, okay, is a woman who makes those around her feel comfortable, okay? This is actually a Christian Jesus sort of idea. The golden rule is explicit here. Do to others as you would have them do to you. That's Luke 6:31. The golden rule is not a passive statement, as some have interpreted it to be. You know, it's not don't do to others what you wouldn't have them do to you. That's very passive. You know, a lady doesn't just sit over in the corner and just not bother anybody. A lady is active. She has her senses out, looking for ways to bless others, and she knows when to get out of the way. Number 4, a lady is velvet steel. She is soft and pliable, yielding when is needed, and yet she is unyielding when defending the poor and the vulnerable. She also stands for the right and the moral. Number 5, a lady is confident. This is a concept also much misunderstood. We mostly assume a person who is pompous and pretentious is confident, but most often such strutting and posturing reveals deep insecurity. The truest sign of confidence is being comfortable. Now let's explore that for a minute. Consider this illustration. Jill Average, who rents one half of a duplex in some city, Iowa, wins a first-class plane ticket to New York City. She has only ever flown coach, and the entire experience leaves her feeling unsure of how to act. She is certain the staff and other passengers can tell she drives an old Ford Focus and normally wears t-shirts and jeans from Wally Market. She says thank you and excuse me way too often and too loudly. That would be me. And her self-consciousness makes her more clumsy than usual. She makes everyone around her feel uneasy. The passenger in the next seat, Francine Rich, is the opposite. She is a buyer for a boutique on her 5th trip to New York this month. She is not impressed, just tired. She knows what to expect and only wants to put her footrest up, dim the lights, and play white noise in her earbuds as she enjoys a few hours nap. However, she can't help but feel for Jill. Francine smiles at her and gives her some pointers. She shares some inside information and pays her a few compliments. Francine's kindness settles Jill. Jill watches Francine and imitates her actions and reactions. Before long, Jill is relaxing and enjoying the better parts of her trip. Because Francine is secure and comfortable, she can help Jill feel the same. And if you think about this, we're kind of all on this trip. Like some of us are just barely on the trip of motherhood. Some of us are just barely on the trip of homeschooling. Some of us have embarked on other trips, and we feel like we're insecure. We don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We are trying to figure out who we are in this new role we've taken on. And it's those that are comfortable in their role that can help us, that can encourage us. And this is how we encourage other ladies too. Okay. Now this illustrates an important point. A true lady, one who makes others feel comfortable, must be comfortable herself. In order to gain this comfortableness in any and every situation, a lady must know who she is as a daughter of the Most High and an heir to the promises of God, as we have before talked about. She must know how things operate, both in the natural and from an eternal perspective. Even if you're in a situation where you feel unsure, you know that if you don't know, God knows. And in your weakness, you are strong because He's made strong in you. So that gives you a comfortableness that helps you. I've seen just some amazing things in women who really trusted God and they got into new things, even if it's motherhood or homeschooling. It's like they just kind of knew and they just were comfortable, and they and their comrades in arms, you know, the other moms, they just kind of were a natural leader, but they didn't have to get up. I'm going to be the leader of all the moms. They didn't have to do that. They just were naturally that way. Okay. Whether or not she has earthly riches, she operates with the currency of heaven. You know what the currency of heaven is? Which is made from the wealth of God's promises, such as Romans 8:28 and Psalm 23, among many, many more. With all this in mind, she is also about the beauty of goodness in all of its forms, whether in a spiritual sense or in an aesthetic sense. While elegance and decorum are not the core of ladylikeness, which is something, like I say, we've misunderstood, being a lady will cause one to desire to become elegant and softened to the sweeter, kinder things in life. It's that old idea that God runs a beauty shop, okay? It should be natural that she desires to walk, talk, and move differently. Her countenance, the way she presents herself, and her surroundings will reflect the inner beauty and comforts that live inside her. This is the kind of daughters we want to raise, isn't it? This is the kind of women the world needs. The world needs ladies more than we have probably for eons. We need ladies in our age, and I know there are still many ladies among us. Now, how do we go about this with our daughters? Number one, we model it. We become a lady, inside and out. We sit at Jesus' feet like Martha's sister Mary. We soak in the sweet spices of his presence like Queen Esther. We bolster the men of battle with words from God like Deborah did. We nurture righteousness within like Mary. We leave our old lives and become loyal to the death like Ruth. We trust God to take care of us even when we surrender our husbands to our husbands like Sarah. We run a tent peg through evil like Jael in Judges 4:21. Read it, it's interesting. We may have hard days and challenges, but we don't give in to our sinful ways of coping by hiding or medicating or whatever it is. We become the women we want our daughters to grow up to be. And as we are growing into all this huge stuff, we grab our daughters up along and we take them with us. So we may not have arrived, and being honest with our daughters about that is very important. We're still on the journey, but we take them on the journey with us. Number two, we direct the curriculum, but subtly. We don't want to create laws for ladies. That tends to bring death. Trust me, I've tried that one. It doesn't work. We can, however, cast a vision. This is done via multiple avenues. Now, we can kind of move things towards certain movies, stories, and other media and persons that we can bring before them who are worthy to admired or imitated for their ladylike attributes, right, and their attitudes. Our enthusiasm for these things, without being insistent, will have its effect. Without realizing it, as they grow, this will become their default. Their default will be ladylikeness, whether they realize it or not. As we become confident, we will lend them our confidence, just as the two passengers on the airplane to New York, as we become confident travelers in life. Our confidence will lend comfortability to the other passengers. I know this vision is challenging, but I hope it is not burdensome. It does take some purposefulness, but it is mostly about resting and obeying. In that sense, God must be architect and builder, which puts us in a sweet spot right next to his heart. So I hope that blesses you today. And I am almost done with the second commonplace book. I know I may have said that before. No, I said I was making progress, but I think I'm working on like one of the last pages to clean up, and then I'm got it done. So hopefully within the next week or two, I can put that up to be for sale, and I will put it for free, and I'll make an announcement, and I hope that blesses you. So I know a lot of people already have been using the first one, the free version, and they've been buying it, which is great. I mean, it really helps the bottom line over here. So, and I appreciate all of your support. You guys are so wonderful to me. And you have a wonderful day. Like, subscribe, click bells, leave reviews, and all that kind of stuff. And have a wonderful day. I said that already. Bye-bye.